Hi, welcome back to Chef's Bonus. Thanks for tuning in, checking us out. Today I'm going to be working on a blackened shrimp. So it's a pretty simple recipe. Um, One thing I did yesterday, a day ahead of time, is I made these grit cakes. So I take white grits or polenta. I usually saute some carrots, celery, and you can use peppers or onions or whatever you like for veggies. I like to have a little bit of color, and I add some fresh herbs at the very end. It also adds little bites and pops of flavor. So there's there's carrots, red onions, and celery in these. Um, but you can use Trinity, which is peppers, celery, and onion as well, or whatever veggies you like. I feel like it adds a little bit more dimension to grits, but they're really simple and easy to make. Quick grits. You can cook them off in a pot, lay them flat in a sheet pan, let them cool down, then cut them into these little squares. And once you put them on a flat top, they have this really great sear, and it brings out all these really nice flavors too. So they soften in the middle, and they have a really nice caramelization and a crust on top. I'm also going to do a really quick sauteed spinach with some additional red onions. But first, what I want to do is get my shrimp ready. So I peeled and deveined these shrimp. They're 13, 15. I usually go for a little bit bigger, the 13-15s over the 21-25s, just because I feel like there's more meat to them, especially once you start cooking them down. They cook fast, but they still have a great texture. I feel if you go a little bit smaller, they tend to cook really fast, but also they get a little bit more mealy. This is more of an entree anyway, so I want to have a bigger shrimp for an entree. So this is nice and smoking hot. First thing I'm going to do is the grit cakes. Get those down. I'm going to put them on this side, and then what I'll do is I'll lower the temp so that they cook a little bit. So these are already seasoned. When I cook the grits just like normal. Salt. Add a little bit of cheese at the end. I like cheesy grits. So I don't need to add any more salt or pepper or anything to these. I just want to get like a really nice caramelization crust on the outside. I worked in an Italian restaurant called Tuscan Grill years ago, and this was polenta cakes were like a staple like this. People love it. It's really, again, really simple and easy to make. It's a great twist on something. If you want to do polenta or grits, and then if you have anything left over, you can always pour it into a pan and reuse it like this. And they don't have to be these squares. They can be whatever shape you want to cut them into. You can have a bunch of fun shapes for it. But it's a really cool way to use leftovers if you're a polenta or a grit fan. So while those are going, I'm going to get this blackening rub. I'm just going to put just a little bit of oil. I want that kind of natural juice that's in the shrimp to kind of get sucked up with this rub I have. So once I do the flip on these cakes, I'll drop the shrimp. So first thing I'll do is lower this down to about medium. And I'll flip these. Not quite yet. It's looking pretty good. That's a good one. Use a little more time. There we go. All right, so you want these to cook. You can get a little mushy if they overcook. But you want them to get just soft. You don't want them to be cold inside. You want them to just get softened. I'm not going to fiddle with those anymore. Now I want to drop the shrimp. This side is obviously much hotter. These already have oil on them. To blacken them, I don't want to add a ton of oil. I kind of want to let the top is kind of cast iron, like I would in a normal pan. Just let that do the work. Probably oil them right before I flip. But for now, I'm going to keep this dry. Woo! Spicy. Get the spinach going. So got my onions. These are like the perfect holding right now. Just to move them off to this side. Want to get these a little brown. I got some baby spinach here. Mound this on top, oil it. I feel like baby spinach kind of has this natural saltiness to it, so I usually don't add any salt to it, but you know, you do what you want to do and how you like your things. I just feel like once it starts to cook down, it has a natural salinity. All right, let's get on the shrimp. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. One key is really to take your time, and you know, a lot of times people want to just get something and scoop everything up, but when you're working on something like getting these shrimps so they're really perfect and each one's blackened, you have to have a little bit of patience, take a little bit of time, and make sure that you're flipping them and taking the time to do that. Checking the color on each one. If they have to flip back, you can flip them back for a second, but I think that's really key, is to not feel so rushed. Take your time and enjoy yourself. This spinach, I'm going to want to wilt it a little bit. I usually let the onions kind of work underneath the spinach the way I just did. And you'll see some of the spinach that I cooked off already has got a little bit of more cooked pieces to it. I want to have some like crisper pieces of spinach along with the rest of it. So let me get the platter going. And everything I do is usually family style. If you want me to fancy this up on a plate, show you how to individually plate things, I'm happy to do that too. Just let me know. What I'm going to do is put a little bit of spinach on each one of these cakes. And you know, like I said, this is I'm thinking of it as an entree, but if you wanted to do this as an appetizer and just maybe cut these squares a little bit smaller or cut them into rectangles and put one piece of shrimp on top of each. They're a little big for one piece, but you know, it's a perfect little app. And these grit cakes, now that they're warm, if you wanted to serve them at more of a room temperature, that's totally going to work as well. So I love the way this spinach is looking right here, right now. I mean, that shrimp right now is exactly where I want it to be. It's all about timing. Perfect entree, a couple of those cakes. You don't have to stack them like this. If you wanted to have the cakes just separate and then do the spinach and then the shrimp, all kind of in its own thing, and people can build their own, have at it. But this is really delicious. quick, tons of flavor, and a perfect summer dish.